Hello and welcome to our Retire Early lifestyle. We traveled the world during the best of times, and in those days vlogging was non-existent. But the internet infrastructure that makes world travel a slam dunk was all there. All you had to do was skip any traditional and historically touristy areas like Rome and Venice, etc., and you were home free. Not anymore. Times have changed. We're sure you've noticed, and that's why we're providing information as opposed to promotion. What's the difference? We don't have a vested interest in where you go or even if you go. We want to give our listeners and viewers ideas of other countries they can move to without the high-priced visa schemes where you have to show large amounts of money to move there and get a residency card. Countries where locals are not protesting in the streets. Tourists go home. How embarrassing is that anyway? Countries where the cost of living is inexpensive, crime rates are very low, and the people are friendly. Doesn't this sound reasonable and sensible to you? Well, that's the countries I'm going to talk about because some people still want to move abroad. And so look, here are some other countries you might want to look at. Let's begin. Heading to Georgia, but skipping right through Tbilisi, which is unrecognizable now since we were there. Head on over to Batumi, Georgia. There's a city on the Black Sea far away from the maddening crowds of people, tourists, and thousands of expats, but there are some expats that live here. It's peaceful and the beauty is undeniably gorgeous. Our first city on our list for sensible Americans is located in Eurasia, in Batumi, Georgia, which has a population of around 172,000. You didn't think there were only pretty landscapes in Spain and Portugal, did ya? This almost undiscovered city is out of sight, out of mind for most people, but there is so much to do here. It's a coastal resort town after all. When we were in Georgia, we couldn't help but notice the beautiful landscapes and the warm Georgian people. It looks very picturesque with the hills in the background, and the city is full of trees and greenery, as you can see in the photos. Georgia has wonderful little eateries, and I would describe the food as comfort food. We were eating out in different restaurants every day because the meals were so delicious and inexpensive, and the atmosphere was warm and inviting. Batumi also has off-the-beaten-path beaches and little coves to go enjoy a peaceful day away from the crowds if you choose to do so, and it's so green and lush, it almost looks tropical. Georgia has some very old and very unique architecture, and some of the buildings look like they came out of a fairy tale. Batumi boasts numerous attractions, shopping, and restaurants. There's enough to keep anyone entertained if they lived here. The boardwalk stretches along the Great Black Sea, outlined by stocky palm trees. If we lived here, Frank and I would be walking on that boardwalk every single day. Just to give you an idea of how inexpensive this European city is, we are comparing it to a Spaniard city of around the same size. This is the cost of living comparison between Alicante and Batumi. And remember, this is internet prices. Once you arrive, you can find something cheaper just by talking to the taxi drivers and other locals that live here. Americans can travel to Georgia right now and stay visa-free for 1 year, which gives you time to check out other cities in Georgia and to find yourself a long-term apartment for rent and to spend the real needed time there to see if Georgia's permanent residency is right for you. All right. Our next country is Burgas, Bulgaria, located in the Balkans. Burgas is a port city located on the Black Sea with a population of around 210,000. Burgas seems like a quaint city because of its size, but actually it's quite sophisticated with plenty of theatrical performances performed throughout the year from opera to dramas. Burgas is also home to the Sea Garden, a huge park on the cliff with plenty of sightseeing activities, a zoo, and the yearly International Folklore Festival. Bulgaria is known for its hot springs and mineral baths that are located throughout the country. One such health spa is located about 12 miles from Burgas, surrounded by Pomori Lake and salt mines. The spa's high mineral content has been reported to be excellent for your health. Cost of living in Burgas is extremely affordable at this time. Take these living costs as a guide only. Your living costs may be more or less depending on how industrious you are, which just means smart frugal. So here's the cost of living in Burgas. Wow, a sophisticated city on the beach with parks, gardens, theater productions, and plenty more for less than $1,500 per month for a family? Just saying, folks. I think it's time we boycott some of these overrated countries that don't want us anymore. Bulgaria just recently became an EU member country, so you have to go through the EU, which only allows 90 days for non-EU citizens. You would need to apply for the Bulgarian residency visa within the 90-day time frame or leave the EU. As of 2024, here is what you will need to show for the temporary residency permit in Bulgaria. It is a very manageable figure, but of course it needs to be renewed several times before you can actually apply for the permanent residency. Retirees who are citizens of non-EU countries and receive a state pension equal to or greater than the minimum monthly salary in Bulgaria, 933 Bulgarian levy in 2024, are eligible to apply for a Bulgarian retirement D visa and a temporary residency permit. This visa option allows retirees to relocate to Bulgaria, where they can enjoy the country's relatively low cost of living, pleasant climate, and beautiful scenery. Additionally, retirees with this visa can access Bulgaria's public healthcare system, which is especially beneficial for those lacking adequate healthcare coverage in their home country. And as you can see, 933 Bulgarian levy is $501 US. Moving on to Keszthely, Hungary. It's located smack dab on Lake Balaton with 21,000 inhabitants. This lovely, smallish city with big, wide sidewalks and stunning architecture. Keszthely offers something for everyone, from the quaint, serene beaches on Lake Balaton to numerous walking tours and attractions in the city, from museums and historical heritage guides and tours. But that's for the tourists to spend money on. We'll take the lakeside beaches. If we move somewhere abroad for the long term, we may try some of the museums and historical attractions that Hungary offers, but once you've seen them, and that is why we gravitate towards coastal or lake areas with parks and walking, and botanical gardens and theaters and things that provide us with entertainment and enjoyment for the long haul. We should move to countries that cater to our lifestyles, whatever that might be for you. For our entertainment and enjoyment, we gravitate toward the lake and coastal communities because of our walking lifestyle and for our love of the outdoors and nature. Rents in Hungary can be amazingly affordable. I've converted the money into USD for you, as I have with all of the graphs I've showed you for rents and cost of living in this video. Keszthely is probably the least discovered European city on our list today. Even Numbeo doesn't have enough expats living in Keszthely to show the cost of living. Most expats, when they move to Hungary, move to Budapest, and it is much, much more expensive there and crowded. So here's the detailed table of the cost of living in Hungary. The Hungary visa requirements are, well, Hungary is an EU member state, so here again, you will need to have a Hungarian permit to be allowed to stay for longer than 90 days. As of 2024, this is what is required for the one-year temporary residency in Hungary, and you will need to apply before the 90 days is up. Applying for your temporary Hungarian residence permit costs about $121 US. Extending your temporary residence permit costs about $63 US. So additionally, you can apply for the permanent residency if you can support yourself financially and have health insurance. So to be eligible for permanent residency in Hungary, you need to meet this criteria. You've got a place of residence in Hungary. You've got sufficient income to live there. You've got health insurance or enough income to cover healthcare expenses. You've already held a suitable residence permit for your time in Hungary. You've lived in Hungary for at least the past 3 years. You've spent no more than 270 days outside of Hungary in the last 3 years in periods of no more than 90 days at a time. All right, so let's move on to Sopot, Poland. Poland is not undiscovered. Most expats and tourists travel to and live in Warsaw. The city we chose for this video is kind of off the beaten track, but still receives plenty of tourism from the locals and some foreigners. The unique and quaint city, located on the southern edge of the Baltic Sea, has around 40,000 people, but it still seems really spread out and large. As you look at some of the photos of Sopot, you'll notice just how spread out it really is. We think that makes for an ideal walking adventure. Just like when we were in Warsaw, the sparkling clean, wide sidewalks and spaces make it a pleasure for those of us who enjoy fast-paced walking without all the crowds of people. Besides the long stretches of beach to stroll on, the city has many nice big parks for walking with pretty manicured landscapes and greenery. Poland is excellent for big wide open parks, and Sopot does not disappoint. The city also has a natural reserve with walking and hiking trails for those folks who want to go a little bit deeper into nature. And of course, Sopot is a bit touristy, and so it boasts all the touristic things like the aqua park and all of those water park and water sports. However, if you're moving here, you'll be more interested in the long, straddling beaches along the Baltic Sea and the theaters and the walking and hiking trails and parks. Just a reminder, when we move somewhere for the long term, it's not a vacation anymore, it's a lifestyle. We have to admit, we really like Sopot Beach. Look at that. Wondering what the cost of living is in Sopot, Poland? Sopot is our most expensive city on our list today, but still much more affordable than our worn-out little darlings in Western Europe. Cost of living in Sopot is right here. And just to give you an idea of what those numbers mean compared to a popular city in Spain, here is what you're looking at as far as price difference in the cost of living arena, which would be cost of living comparison between Sopot and Barcelona. Cost of living in Barcelona is 25.2% higher than Sopot. Cost of living including rent in Barcelona is 30.2% higher than in Sopot. Rent prices in Barcelona are 42.3% higher than in Sopot. Restaurant prices in Barcelona are 31% higher than in Sopot. Grocery prices in Barcelona are 40% higher than in Sopot, Poland. So here we are, showing our viewers this quaint seaside resort on the Baltic Sea, which is actually quite affordable. Sopot is practically undiscovered by North Americans. The tourism is mostly from the Polish and other nearby countries that want to holiday in a nice beach resort. Poland visa requirements are that it is in an EU member country. Therefore, if you plan on staying more than 90 days in the country, you will need to apply for the temporary Polish visa. Here's what you need for retirees. A retirement visa to Poland is a type of visa that allows individuals who have retired and wish to reside in Poland for an extended period of time to do so legally. This visa is designed for individuals who have sufficient funds to support themselves without the need to work in Poland and who wish to enjoy their retirement in the country. To qualify for a retirement visa to Poland, applicants typically need to provide proof of stable and sufficient financial means to support themselves during their stay, as well as proof of medical insurance coverage. So there you have it. Some great choices located in off-the-beaten-path cities located in Europe. They are all unique and they are all affordable. These cities are out of sight, out of mind right now because people just don't notice them until you show them. Most people will say they don't like the weather because winters are cold and snowy in these parts. Yes, that's true. Eastern Europe does have 4 seasons, but the only really cold season is winter. It may be somewhat chilly in the fall, but the rest of the time it's actually quite mild weather-wise. We spent a lot of time in Eastern Europe and the Balkans. We traveled to Bulgaria in late winter through spring, that was February through May, in Bulgaria, and by the time we left Sofia, Bulgaria, it was t-shirt weather. And if you really dislike the winters, you can act like the snowbirds that run to Florida and southern Texas in the winter. You can run wherever the weather suits you best. And you don't even have to stick to these cities. I only mention these cities to give you some ideas on other destinations besides the same old worn-out, overpriced, and overrated European cities. Hear me out. We're not telling you these are the best countries to live in the world. And we're not telling you that moving to these countries will make you happy and be life-changing. And anyone who does is telling you gobbledygook. We're not telling you these countries are the cheapest countries, and we're definitely not trying to entice you to move to these countries. The world is at your feet. Be in control of the helm. You know what you want more than we know what you want. No one can say what is best for you but you. Other European countries you might find very unique and that have a reasonable cost of living are Romania, Macedonia, Slovakia, and Slovenia. We hope you enjoyed this video today. If one of these cities piques your interest, just a little digging can provide the details you need. Until our next video, take care and bye-bye.